Hey everybody, welcome to the SMA Journey 51 vlog. Today I'm going to go work out with Laura and you're going with me. She told me that I could bring the GoPro and I could do all of the filming that I wanted to with regards to the exercises that we're doing, as long as I do the recording within the privacy of the examination room and not out in the open where some of our other patients may be moving about and doing their exercises. So to make sure that I don't get any of our other patients on my video, we're going to be using the examination room, but I think it'll work out just fine. And what I'm going to do is, as I'm recording, I'm not going to use the audio that we're going to do today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to voice over so that I can tell you exactly what exercise I'm doing and what muscle groups that these exercises are working. And I think it'll give you a good idea as to what I go through whenever I go work out with Laura each and every week. Now, another thing that I'm not going to show you is some of the exercises that I do are really boring, such as my breathing exercises. So I'm not going to put those on video because, trust me, you don't want to watch me do breathing exercises. It's really boring. But all of the resistance band training that I do for my abs, my back, my obliques, and even my lats, I'm going to show you those exercises because, again, it'll give you a good idea as to some exercises that you may be able to utilize in your workout routine. So let's get this day started. In this exercise, Laura is using the red elastic band, which has a little bit more tension in it than the yellow band that I was using when I started these workouts with her. What we're doing is we're working on the oblique muscle, which will help me, especially when I have to lean from side to side. During the day, if I have to reposition my chair, say because my hip is hurting, I have to be able to pull myself back up to a seated position. And every once in a while, I'll lean too far to one side, I'll lose my equilibrium, and I'm not able to get back up into a seated position without needing assistance from somebody else. So by building these oblique muscles, I'll be able to reposition myself a little bit easier. I have to stop quite often during this exercise because of my neck muscle. If I lean too far over to one side, sometimes my neck muscle will give out and I'll lose control and my head will fall forward. So this is not only working the obliques, but it's also working the neck muscle. In the second exercise that we're doing the same thing, just in reverse order. Now I'm leaning as far over to my left and she's pulling me back to my right. The object of this exercise is that I'm supposed to come back up into a seated position as slowly as I can. She doesn't want to be able to pull me quickly back to a seated position. She wants me to keep these oblique muscles active and come up back to a seated position as slowly as I can. While this exercise may look a little bit challenging, it's really not all that difficult to do, and I have found that the oblique muscle is a little bit stronger now that we've started these therapies than it was before we actually began. So again, this is really going to help me in my day-to-day life, especially when it comes to repositioning in my chair and being able to do this on my own without having to rely on somebody else to help me throughout the day. The next exercise that we're doing is going to be working the abdominal muscle. Laura put the green elastic band behind me and she makes me lean forward a little bit and then she'll apply the resistance with the band. Now the object of this exercise is that I've got to go back into a seated position all the way back up against the backrest of my chair. This exercise is extremely helpful because I've got a Toyota Sienna minivan that somebody else can drive if I have to go somewhere, and I go up and down the ramp in a forward position. But while going down the ramp, especially at a steep angle, I can sometimes lose my balance and fall forward, and you don't want to do this while going down a steep ramp. So this is building the abdominal muscle and even the back muscle so I can keep myself seated all the way back against the backrest of my chair. Again, it looks difficult, and it may be difficult for some, but I'm finding it easier as time goes on. Now, the last part of this exercise, Laura wants me to, instead of going back in my chair at a quicker pace, she wants me to take my time. So she'll have me lean forward, she'll pull back on the elastic band to apply the tension, and then she wants me to go back into a seated position as slowly as I can. The last 5 that we do in this exercise, it looks like, as you can tell on my face, it looks like I'm grimacing. I'm not in pain. I'm just trying to keep these abdominal muscles active during the entire process or during the entire exercise itself. It's a little bit more challenging than it looks, but it really is a lot of fun to do. Now this next exercise, Laura will have me lean forward as far as I can, and then she'll pull back on the elastic band to give me tension. The object of this exercise is to again come back into a seated position as slowly as I can. It would be very easy for her to just pull me back into a seated position too quickly, but by coming back to a seated position as slowly as I can, I'm keeping the abdominal muscle active, and this is probably one of the most difficult exercises that I do, because as you can see, as I do my workout, when I start the exercise, I start coming back into the chair slowly, but when I reach a certain point to where I'm almost sitting straight up, I'll go back in the chair a little bit more quickly than what I like. So as time goes on, we're going to build these abdominal muscles and these back muscles to where I can sit back in the chair and keep my balance without having to lean forward or try to reposition during the day. You know, I told Laura during this exercise that most of the people watching my video will probably say that my physical therapist is working much harder than I am. And she probably is. But Laura's great to work with. She's probably one of the best in her field. The last exercise that we're doing, I think, is more like a modified crunch. Since I'm not able to get on the floor and do what most people would consider a real crunch, for people in wheelchairs, this is about as close as we'll get to doing a real crunch. She'll have me lean forward quite a bit, and then she'll pull back on the green elastic band to give me the tension. And then my job is to go back to a forward position as slowly as I can, again keeping the abdominal muscle active during the entire process. This is not really a difficult exercise to do, but it is challenging, especially on the abdominal muscle, because when you're being forced to go backwards and you're having to push yourself to go forward, this definitely works the abdominal muscle really well. So I hope you enjoy these exercises. Okay, so I'm back home and my day's over. I'm going to bed. It's been a long day. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope it gave you a good demonstration as to some of the exercises that I not only do whenever I work out with Laura at her facility, but these are also some of the exercises that I do each and every day at home. And I try to work out between 4 to 5 times a week. And while these exercises may take a little bit of time out of each day, trust me, it's really worth it. One of the goals, I guess you could say, that I set for myself was to try to build my core strength, my abdominal, my back, my obliques, the muscles that I use each and every day while I'm sitting in my wheelchair to keep my balance. You know, it used to be whenever I would go down the ramp in my van, I would lean forward and sometimes I could lose my balance, which you really don't want to do while you're going down a ramp. And I've noticed over the last couple of weeks that my back feels stronger, I'm able to lean back in my chair further with a little bit more power, and I'm not losing my balance. Also, another thing is that I use these core muscles each and every day. If I have to lean forward to reach for something, I don't want to lose my balance and fall forward because I wouldn't be able to get myself back up in a seated position. Another thing that I do is if I have to reposition in my chair, I lean from left to right. So again, these exercises that I'm working are utilizing the muscles that I use to get myself back up in a seated position. So they're definitely working for me. But before you start any exercise routine, make sure that you get permission from your doctor and also talk to a physical therapist, because they may be able to show you some exercises that are different than the ones that I'm using, depending on which muscle groups you want to work on. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would greatly appreciate it. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. God bless you. And until next time, bye-bye.